You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
In every season up till now, likely they've gone to the playoffs, but you can still check out Rays baseball. So grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today.
Well, this is, I guess, a big series. I mean, if the Rays have any hope of squeaking, and I mean squeaking into the playoffs, it's win literally every single game until the end of the regular season and get a lot of help on your side. And these aren't the Tigers of yesteryear. This is actually a team that is primed to make the postseason. I think some of that might have to do with the division that they're in. But alas, they got some good players on their roster.
They do. And the fact is, this team was 500 or right about that in mid-August.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty impressive turnaround that they've had in Detroit. And, you know, we've talked about Detroit from far away in this podcast, like, oh, yeah, they're getting better. Yeah, well, it's not their window. And I think this year it's not like we were down on them, but the fact that they're so close like this, I think we expected this maybe either last season or the year before that, but this one maybe not so much. And this is when they've taken off, and it's pretty cool for that fandom, man, because they've suffered a ton in the last half decade plus of just not being good whatsoever. Just imagine just 162 games and you're just watching just bad baseball.
Literally, all you had to root for was Miggy Cabrera. That was it. That was the only show in town, essentially.
Yeah, it's so good for them for having this turnaround season. But hey, the Rays, even though they're not dead, they are. But they can play a really good spoiler role here in the next 6 games, with first Detroit for 3 and then Boston for 3.
That is true, and the pitching matchups Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday go Pepio versus Skubal. Man, Skubal, so good. Littell versus Keeter Montero, and then the Rays have a TBD versus Reese Olson. What's interesting in looking at the Tigers, they are definitely pitching focused because they are dynamite in ERA, dynamite in WHIP, dynamite in walks per 9 and home runs per 9, but their offense not as bad as the Rays, but definitely not trending like you would expect a playoff team to be. So it seems to me like the pitching is carrying them, and then they're getting timely hits here and there. And honestly, I can't remember what they did at the trade deadline in some of their call-ups and so forth, but I'm sure that's been a little bit of a boost if they're playing better of late. But they do have a couple young hotshot players that are probably going to be good for years to come. And I guess we can take this as maybe a little nibble if you're the Rays of saying, again, you don't have to go from 28th in the league in this offensive category to 15th in the league or 10th in the league. Just inch up 5-6 spots and you might have a couple extra wins under your belt. Having said that, we also don't play in a division that has the White Sox that are 36 and 120. So I don't know what the Tigers' record is against the White Sox, but I would assume it's similar to those years where the Orioles were really bad and the Rays were really good, and the Rays were winning 14, 15 of 18 games, something of that ilk.
Dude, I want to look that up right now.
And I guess it's helped, just to interject here. I guess it's helped all the other teams in the AL Central because all those other teams are in playoff contention.
They've played 10 games together, the White Sox and the Tigers. Do you know what's their split right now?
I'm going to say the Tigers have won 9 of those 10.
You would be 100% correct. 9 out of 10. That's what you need to do. That's exactly what you need to do. And not to harp on this, but the Rays lost 4 games to that same team. 4 games out of 6. And they got swept by them too. Like it was an ugly season series against the White Sox, a team that is going to be the worst team in baseball history, and you lost 4 games out of 6. That's the cool thing about baseball, though, right? Like anybody can win at any time. But in this particular point, when you're 4 games out playing horrible, very mediocre baseball as in Rays standards, you were so close. You were so close to just being there at the finish line and squeaking by, but you just didn't have those games.
Yeah, and a couple interesting nuggets about this series. The Tigers, I guess, are pulling their own version of the Rays calling up a top pitching prospect right before playoff action, i.e. Shane McClanahan, David Price, as Jackson Jobe.
Yeah.
Evidently, the top pitching prospect in baseball is going to get some run in the bullpen, so that should give them a little extra push. On the flip side, Richie Palacios is set to rejoin the Rays in this series. The Rays send down Austin Shenton. Palacios, we haven't seen him for a minute. 2 months he's been out due to a knee sprain. And I don't know how much we talked about Palacios earlier on in the season, but I don't want to say he's a franchise standout, or I mean, maybe he is in a way a guy you can build around. I see him as a solid organizational piece for the next couple years at least, just based on his versatility, giving enough offense to stick around, pinch it, help out. And he seems like an energy guy, a charisma guy, a type of guy that you need in that clubhouse, frankly.
100%. This is a guy that people can rally around. It really sucks that he missed so much time during this season. But I think, you know what? I have a question for you regarding Richie Palacios, but I'm going to give you the time to think about what I could possibly ask you. But first, can you tell me something about patience and drive and something like that?
Oh, you just got me ringing right there. eBay Motors, that's the only thing I can think about when there's patience and passion and drive involved. That is the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is returned. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it is easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. We also want to tell you this. Be sure to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
If you look at the moves, taking out free agents, don't look at free agent moves that were done between 2023 and 2024. So trades or waiver claims, something like that. I think the biggest 3 names that came out of that would be Jose Caballero, Richie Palacios, and Tyler Alexander, at least on the how they produced. Is it fair to say that Richie Palacios was the best move out of those 3?
I think it's fair. I think the trade worked out for both sides because Andrew Kittredge has been a really solid pitcher for the Cardinals this season, but it was a case, as we've learned, the bullpen and the pitching staff, no problems at all right now. We seem to be in pretty dandy shape, and you need more of these types of offensive assets to place around your roster. I think Palacios, he might not be quite a finished product. I still think there might be more meat on the bone to extract in his development. And I just wonder what he could have done and how he could have elevated this team if he didn't get hurt.
Right.
Fun fact for you, he ranks 4th on the team, 3rd not counting now traded Isaac Paredes with a 2.1 WAR rating. Now, take that for what you will. I don't know if that's Fangraphs or B-WAR, whatever. It shows his value to this organization in the short amount of time he's been in a Rays uniform. And I think he's got a combination of speed and more power than people give him credit for as well.
Yeah, I mean, almost a 700 OPS in 88 games, 682. He could also, he's right there at 19 steals. So with 6 games left, could he get that 20? That would be really nice. Good for him if he's able to do that. You have two sides of the coin here. What Johnny DeLuca has done throughout the season, even though he's gotten really hot since, like, I don't know, a month from today, the last month or so, he's been hitting the ball way, way better. But just take the totality of Johnny DeLuca's 2024 season and then Richie Palacios. That's what you have to understand as a baseball fan, and in this case, as a Rays fan. Like, if you want to give playing time to guys that are young, it can either go the Johnny DeLuca way or it can go the Richie Palacios way, where Richie Palacios, hey, first time really getting routine starts throughout the week.
Right.
And hey, things are, I don't think anybody is upset at what Richie Palacios has done for this team. It would be very difficult to meet that Rays fan. Now, with Johnny DeLuca, everybody understands he's a great glove guy, but you have heard it from the fandom saying, well, the bat doesn't play, even though it's getting hot for the last month. Those are the two sides of the coin when you give young guys the opportunity to play.
And I say it doesn't play yet. Maybe in time, maybe he needs 150, 200, 250 games under his belt to make it play and to get ready and prepared for the major league level. At least the glove is there, which is a good sign. So good to see Richie back. The Rays need all the help that they can get, of course. Do want to mention a couple players. So as part of the Rays' final home series, it was announced a couple of team superlatives, one given to Brandon Lowe, one given to Junior Caminero, one given to Zack Littell, and we'll go one by one with these. So Brandon Lowe was named team MVP. He is one of 4 players in Rays history to win team MVP honors more than once, joining pretty good category here of names with Evan Longoria, Carl Crawford, and Ben Zobrist, of course. I just sometimes pinch myself with the fact of, because he's unfortunately been hurt so much, I forget that he's been with this team since 2018. He's in his 7th season with the Rays. And despite all that time that he's missed, you look at pretty much every offensive category, top 10 leaders in franchise history, he's pretty much somewhere on that list, whether it's 10th, 8th, 7th, 6th, wherever you look, he's definitely made a name for himself when he's on the field and when he's available. Conversely, I mean, it's also kind of the state we're in of this team. The fact that this guy misses 6 weeks of the season, is hitting, no disrespect to him, 242, 20 homers, which is most on the team, 787 OPS, and ranks 2nd in RBIs, 55 in 102 games, that he is the team MVP with those numbers.
Thank you for showing, and that's what we try to do in this podcast, people, is just try to show both sides. We don't like to just go one side. Yes, awesome that he joins Longo and Crawford and Zobrist as a multi-team MVP winner, and he deserves it, because if you look at all-time Rays records, Brandon Lowe is going to be on most of them offensively. And that's not easy. And that's a really cool thing when you can say, when you look up and down franchise records and you're there. That's a really cool thing. But it really speaks to the kind of offensive year that this team had when these are the numbers that give you an MVP. Like this, a 787 OPS and 20 home runs should not be the team MVP if you want to do something. If you want to do a kind of playoff team that goes far, like those are not the numbers.
Unless you have 9 guys that are giving you that exact line, or 7 guys giving you that exact line, but one guy and there's pretty much a notable drop off after that, that is not going to cut it. So even if the Rays make the playoffs, let's be honest, it's one and done. It's 1 game in the wild card, 2 games in the wild card where you're scoring 1 or 0 runs, just like deja vu.
And it really, if it wasn't Brendan Lowe, it was going to have to be Yandy Diaz, who is hitting instead of 242, 284. Instead of 20 home runs, he's got 14. And the OPSs are really negligible here. Brendan Lowe's is 787 and Yandy's is 764. So it was between them two, and obviously Brendan Lowe has better numbers overall, but it just speaks to the kind of year that the Rays had, because this is the peak, these 2 guys, and the rest were nowhere to be found. So it's a shame that it had to be this way, but it does kind of paint the type of season that the Rays had. But I do want to say, if you do want to paint even a better vacation for yourself, how about you use Booking.com? This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Look, Kevin has been traveling up and down the U.S.
Yes, I have.
And I have a question for you, Kevin. Out of all of the cities that you have visited in 2024, which baseball city captured your love?
I've been to a lot of cities lately. As much as it pains me to say this, I would say Boston.
Wow.
The history, how much the community riles around Fenway Park, everything being right there. It's something you can't forget.
Well, that's a perfect example, because he might not like the Red Sox people, but he likes Boston, and you can do that. You can explore these U.S. cities, even though they are our baseball rivals, and Booking.com helps you find hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more to make your stay perfect. So today, how about you use Booking.com, which delivers exactly the right U.S. stay for you. It can also help you book a stay that's close to your home team or the rival stadium, whatever you want. Booking.com can help you. So today, go download the Booking.com app. Go use Booking.com, because remember that the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. So use Booking.com today. Booking.yeah.
But we also want to tell you about FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So good, I'll repeat it again. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That can be found at FanDuel.com. We also want to tell you that you can catch every pitch of the Rays hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rays. Also bookmark si.com/MLB/Rays for written content about your Tampa Bay Rays. Before we get into Caminero being named most outstanding rookie on the Rays this year, want to give a little love and shout out, because I feel like we don't do enough of that. Zack Littell getting honored with what I guess I am never really focused on or paid attention to, the Paul C. Smith Champion Award, which if you didn't know that, you should. It's presented to the player on the Rays who best exemplifies the spirit of true professionalism on and off the field. We know about Zack Littell's story and his grind and battle to get to the majors and stay at the major league level, but he has just been a consistent mainstay the last 2 seasons. He's the only Rays pitcher that's going to get 150 plus innings this season. And I believe I roughly added up the numbers going back to 2023. He is the most innings pitched of any active Rays player. I think him and Taj Bradley are pretty neck and neck. But I think the cool thing about what Zack Littell is doing right now is he is getting really, really hot at a great time if you're a starting pitcher. August and September, his ERAs, those 2 months are unbelievable. August, 1.72 ERA. September, 1.64 ERA. Those are like setup man numbers.
Yeah.
For a starting pitcher.
And he had a little IL stint, as well, in the middle of the season there, like middle to late. So very impressive. This might be second to Drew Rasmussen's conversion from the bullpen to the rotation. Like what they've done with Zack Littell is rather incredible because he was not an effective reliever whatsoever. Look at the numbers; they're right there for you. The facts are there. He was not an effective reliever. And then they saw something. Yeah. They saw something and be like, we can stretch this guy out. He used to be a starter. Why? Maybe there is something there that we can do that to him. And they did. And he has shown that he can take the ball. I know 150 innings might not sound like a lot for us old baseball heads, but 2024, 150 plus.
And on the Rays, it's a lot.
On the Rays, exactly. And on the Rays, that's like, a 210. Unfortunately for the kind of baseball that we have, but not unfortunately, but it's just different. So good for him. Good for Zack Littell. I mean, the ERA lower than Pepio's, in more innings, like you said, more than anybody. He deserves it. Like if you were to pick the starter who had the best season, I think it is Zack Littell. Yeah,
and I know he's not the most flashy, like a Shane Baz or a Pepio or a McClanahan or a Taj Bradley or somebody of that ilk, because his four-seamer tops out at 92, 93. Same thing with the sinker. But he does what needs to be done, and that's not walking guys and getting guys to chase. I mean, and he uses his slider more predominantly than any other pitch, but he legitimately has 4 pitches that he can use to get outs. With 2 strikes, he'll throw the four-seamer. He'll throw the splitter. He'll throw the slider. He'll throw the sinker and throw guys, get guys off guarded with that, especially how the splitter and slider divert and work against each other in different directions. And being able to, if you just look at highlights of them, just being able to get that slider right on the edge of the strike zone, it really is something to behold. And if you're the Rays, you absolutely have to pick up and take him on for 2025. I know he's making $1.85 million this season, arbitration eligible again in 2025, but we talk about it time and time again. You can't just rely on 4 or 5 guys going into the year. You got to have a backup plan, and a backup plan after that. And whether Zack Littell is your number 5 or number 6, something's going to happen. Multiple bad things are going to go awry. I guarantee there will be at least 2-3 starting pitchers that go on the injured list at some point for various ailments, and you're going to need that backup to pinch in and assist.
You know how we've always talked about how opening day starts for the Rays always is determined not by the veteran role, not by who should get it. It's if you earned it the year prior to that. We can go on and on, but you guys know it. Shields and Price, for example, in 2011, Price got the ball because Shields had a horrible 2010, even though he was a veteran guy. And then the next year, Shields had an amazing year over Price. So Shields, you get the ball. Like they do that all the time. Is it fair to say that 2024, if Zack Littell was the best pitcher for the whole season, shouldn't he be the guy that takes the ball opening day? I know it's odd to say that when you have a guy with the talent of Taj Bradley, when you have a guy that's young and like Ryan Pepio or a Shane Baz. Like I get it. Those are the big time prospects. But if you go just pure, did you earn it? Who was the best starter for 2024? Isn't it Zack Littell?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I guess if you're the Rays, you also, well, not that they look at it this way, but you want to draw up some excitement for opening day. who's going to take the bump. And if you say Zack Littell, it might not mean as much as one of those other characters, if you will. But just want to shout out what he's done this season. It has been amazing, and his career mark and journey has been quite amazing as well. So deserving of that award. And then Junior Caminero, again, the numbers aren't incredibly sexy, but we see the talent, and I've got high expectations for him in 2025. I'm hoping he gets 20 to 25 homers. I'm hoping he gets a batting average of around 250. I'm hoping he can get an OPS of 760, 770. I hope he doesn't fall into a sophomore slump. All that remains to be seen, but based on the extended amount of action he's got, I think that, I don't know, maybe are those too lofty of expectations, or is that kind of what you're looking at and viewing? Because it seems like every time somebody mentions Caminero's 35, 40 home run potential, but we also have to remember he's 21 years old, and it might take him 3, 4, 5 years to tap into that potential and realize that.
Anybody that's putting lofty numbers on Junior Caminero, like, guys,
there's too many Miggy comparisons and Jose Ramirez comparisons and Platito comparisons and Machado comparisons.
He's 21 years old. Like, look, if he has that type of season next year, if he hits 25 bombs, if he hits 250, if he is an average defender at third, if he plays more than 130 games, I think that is a season that nobody should be complaining about.
No.
Like, do not put the stress on this guy to, hey, he needs to hit 35 bombs next year, and he needs to hit 280 or whatever, like, and be a goal. Like, no. That is not how you make a good team, by just relying on one player. Isn't that the whole thing that we make fun of the Yankees before this season, was they just rely on Aaron Judge and that's it? They have no one around him, and that's not how you win. Hello, Angels did it for 8 years with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, and like 6 of them with Albert Pujols. They didn't do anything. You have to create a team. So Junior Caminero, I honestly, if I were the puppeteer here, give me 150 games, and wherever the numbers lie, I'm going to be happy, because you played 150 games, and that's all I want from Junior next year is be healthy.
I agree with you. And talking about the pressure point there makes even more reason to bring back Yandy, bring back Bilal, to have some protection, have some help, have some guidance along the way, and not put it all on a 21, 22-year-old. That's the other thing to keep in mind as well with that. All right. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.